Hello, and thank you so much for making time to join me on Climate Check. I'm your host, Mwiikisa. Today's program is yet another exciting program that will give you information around sustainability, around a green economy, around taking care of planet Earth. And of course, we'll be discussing various issues to do with clean cooking. And of course, this is clean energy that has to do with taking care of our environment. And also on the program, we will be talking to Mr. Moses Mumba from Care Zambia on what the organization is doing to help smallholder farmers in the rural parts of Zambia. Also on the show, we'll be catching up with a young lady, Beverly Namkwanya, who has taken up tree planting as a serious venture. And that and much more is what makes up the program. Join me on the other side. Now, imagine if trees could provide Wi-Fi. Just how many trees you would plant? Well, they provide oxygen. We definitely cannot do without it. Destruction of nature, such as forests, has led to irreversible climatic changes to our world. Join me as I talk to policy formulators, change makers, and climate change interest groups on Climate Check, weekly on this channel. Now, you are the solution to climate change. This is Climate Check. Right now, I am joined in studio by Mr. Moses Mumba, who is a humanitarian program manager for Care Zambia. And we'll be talking all things the agriculture sector and what Care Zambia is doing out there in the communities to ensure that the farmers can at least start learning how to adapt to climate change and also create resilience around their agricultural practices. And so we'll be discussing that on this program. Thank you so much, Mr. Mumba, for making time.
Thank you very much, Mary. Thank you for inviting Care to come and take part in the discussion.
All right, just give me a brief background on what some of the programs you're doing around agriculture as Care Zambia.
Okay, so over several years, Care International has been promoting agriculture programs, for example, focusing on protecting and also enhancing the food security, water security, as well as nutrition security of the people, especially focusing on the most vulnerable households in the country. Here in Zambia, we are trying to align our programs to the government 8th National Development Plan, which has a strategic objective, which is to improve agriculture productivity as well as production. So we have a number of programs. We have an access to irrigation program, which is promoting small innovations, small technologies that can be used by our farmers to improve irrigation. We are also implementing a locally led ecosystem-based adaptation project. This is in Kalomo. So this program is trying to support the district in Kalomo to adapt to effects of climate change. We are also strengthening the farmer field business schools. This is a model, I think, that has worked in a number of countries, even here in Zambia. So this model tried to strengthen the farmer field schools so that they are able to, enhance their, agriculture production.
What type of farmers do you work with?
Okay, so generally, Care's programming is rural-based, which means that we are working with rural farmers. But also, even in rural areas,
small-scale farmers?
Exactly, we are working with the smallholder farmers and also focusing on the women. As you may be aware, women face challenges in the agriculture sector, issues of access to land, access to resources, access to inputs. So we are trying to target women so that they're able to, participate in the agricultural programs.
So, Mr. Mumba, what type of agriculture are we talking about that you're doing in these rural communities with the men and women?
Okay, so our agricultural programs focuses on interventions that try to promote water conservation. As you know, water is needed in agriculture business, and therefore our farmers need to use it very efficiently. We're also trying to promote market access so that even when they produce, their crops, they're able to find a market. We're also trying to look at, mechanization at a small scale, where farmers have access to small irrigation equipment and they're able to use in their fields. Land restoration is also an intervention that we are promoting so that our forests they are managed well and they are protected.
Okay. You bring out a very interesting aspect when you talk about land restoration, because we know that most of our agriculture obviously is done on land, and when the land is depleted, the soils lose their fertility, and for smallholder farmers that may not have adequate income to restore these soils may be a challenge. So what exactly are you doing to ensure that these farmers adhere to environmentally friendly agriculture?
Yes, we are promoting climate or water smart conservation practices. For example, agroforestry is one of the approaches being used, so that people are able to improve soil fertility, as you have mentioned. There is also a technology on intercropping. Intercropping is also one of the interventions being used by our farmers that we are supporting.
Okay. And what is the catchment area for this project?
Okay, at the moment, CARES programming is in 3 provinces, Southern Province, in Lusaka, as well as in Mwiikisa Province. In Lusaka, we have an urban agriculture project where we are supporting our women and youth in Kanyama to do vertical farming. As well as farming at the household. You know, in urban areas there is a challenge of land, and therefore people may not be able to grow a large portion of of their fields. So we encouraging use of side gardening, and then also vertical agriculture using hydroponics.
Okay. Can you explain a bit more on that?
Yeah, so
for my audience to understand.
For sure. So the vertical farming is where they are using the greenhouses, where they are growing vegetables. So in Kanyama, we have a grassroots movement, the Zambia Homeless People Federation, whose members have been supported through our local partner, People's Process on Housing and Poverty in Zambia, who are encouraging use of that type of agricultural practice.
Okay. Let's talk about the drought that the country has been dealing with this past farming season, which we know has affected over 1 million smallholder farmers in this country. How has CARE Zambia assisted farmers in response to this situation?
Yes, this drought is unprecedented. In the last 40 years, a number of our farmers have been affected, countrywide. I must mention that with support from our funding partners, who have been able to allocate more resources to CARE International and participate in the response, we have been able to, support our farmers. In the short term, we are providing food assistance. This is maize meal, beans, cooking oil and salt, so that people are able to reduce, the food consumption gaps that they are experiencing as a result of, the poor harvest in the 2023-2024 farming season. We are also providing emergency cash transfer to the households, so that where markets are functional, where goods can be found on the market, then they are able to buy from the market. We know that this drought has impacted a number of water sources in the communities. So we are also rehabilitating water sources. We are also upgrading, some water sources, so that they are able to cover a large area of the community. We are doing so by installing solar systems, so that we have mechanized water systems in the communities. So this is in the short term. In the recovery period, our desire is to support early recovery activities by the farmers, so that as the rains start, then households are able to start at least harvesting from the fields.
Yes.
They can get the grains from their field. So we are supporting their recovery agricultural interventions.
Okay. Yeah. What is the impact of your activities in these communities as an organization? Are you seeing the lives of these people transforming for the better, especially the smallholder farmers?
Yes, I can share some examples. In Kalomo, we have about 500 households who whom we supported with construction of a deep tank, and they're able to access veterinary services. So these households have about 6,500 animals. So they are able at least to reduce animal diseases by utilizing the deep tanks. We also, in the same district, we implemented a project which focused on land restoration, and there's about 60 hectares of land which is being managed in that district. In Zambia, we trained the district staff as well as the community members. You mentioned the issue around climate information.
Yes.
So we trained and provided skills, and knowledge to the district staff so that they're able to disseminate climate information to the people. In Mwiikisa, where we did an access to irrigation project, we facilitated market linkages with about 1,500 households able to access, the small irrigation equipments which they can use at the household. So you can see that there are some impacts of course, which is in the end helping with the food, water, and nutrition security for the people that we support.
One critical aspect of Zambia's agriculture sector, especially among our smallholder farmers, is that most of the food that is harvested, especially timely seasonal foods, most of it go to waste. Is there anything that you hope to do or that you're doing to help these farmers on how they can store their food sustainably, especially fresh foods?
Yes, we have a scaling up nutrition. Care International is part of the scaling up nutrition program in the country, and we are implementing in Mwiikisa and the southern province. And in that program, farmers as well as households, they are being provided with knowledge and skills on food preservation.
Okay.
So that they are able to keep the food and they're able to use, utilize it off season.
Yes.
Yeah. And then also through our trainings, there are trainings on post-harvest, methods that is being given to the farmers, so they're able to reduce food losses. So those are some of the interventions that CARE uses to minimize food loss. Okay.
As I let you go, Mr. Mumba, what are the future plans regards this agriculture sector, which is very critical for Zambia's food security, in partnership with CARE Zambia and the Zambian government?
The disaster that we have experienced has potential to erode, the gains that we have scored in the agriculture sector, and therefore it's important that mechanisms, means, and ways are integrated to ensure that our farmers are able to anticipate. Yes. They're able to anticipate the climate risks. They're able to absorb if they can. And also importantly, they're able to adapt. So therefore, climate smart, water smart, conservation practices, I think is the way to go.
Emerging Cooking Solutions has been running a campaign that is aimed at completely ending charcoal usage, because we know that charcoal propels deforestation that affects precipitation, and eventually we continue dealing with low and no rainfall in most cases. And so this is a campaign that is encouraging you and I to look into clean cooking methods, such as usage of gas, such as various other alternatives. But the good news is that the Ministry of Green Economy and Environment, working with other stakeholders, are pushing this agenda. And in the next interview, we'll be hearing from various stakeholders, and they'll also be showing us what options are there for clean cooking approaches in Zambia. Take a look.
Zambia loses about 200,000 hectares of forest due to cutting trees, which is used for charcoal, mainly for charcoal. But we came up with a solution that uses pellets. These are made from sawdust. which are then compacted in our factory. We have the biggest pellet factory, which is based in Ndola on the copper belt. So normally what happens is when the pellets are compressed, the sawdust are compressed into pellets, and then you've got stoves. These are special stoves that use internet for monitoring. So what we do is we don't sell the stoves. We give out the stoves to the community to use based on the understanding and the contract that they'll be able to be buying pellets. Now, we've done a research that indicates that our pellets actually they're cheaper, and then they cook faster than the charcoal. So if you buy 50 bags of pellets and then you're using our stoves, you will be able to use it for up to close to three weeks. That is in the morning, in the afternoon, and in the evening, 3 meals. So when you compare that to a bag of charcoal, it's you find that our pellets are cheaper and they're actually healthy. Our pellets and our stoves, you use them indoors. As you know that you cannot use charcoal indoors. That's a health hazard. So basically, that's what we've been doing. The general public has been quite overwhelming, especially in the peri-urban. Those are the people that have actually got so used to using our pellets. The people in lower residential areas, they're using to stoves and, but the people that have been using charcoal, those are the ones that we've been targeting. Places like Ngombe, places like Garden Compound, Kanyama, these are actively using our stoves, and the number is growing.
Akanakatenga last year.
Okay.
In December last year. Mara shaka idiaza baninga, so akakaishebe bunuksenzisa. Akasikodura.
Okay.
Nko cheaper, mara shanyodura. Na famasha chi half chijani 250. Ilo amarasha yaka ni 130. Ya kwanza 1 month.
This project really is coming very handy. It's going to help us so much, especially at this time where we have problems with load shedding. It was a project that uses pellets, meaning it's displacing the charcoal that could have been used if pellets were not actually utilized. So it will not only help us to reduce greenhouse gas emissions, but it will also be able to help us to reduce on charcoal consumption and hence contribute to reduction deforestation. Now, deforestation is connected to many things, including power generation, because the water that we get that goes into the hydropower facilities actually comes from the catchment areas. Now, if these catchment areas are depleted with the trees, it means we won't have sufficient water to be able to supply for power generation. So to be able to help us to restore the catchment areas, which have really been degraded quite seriously. So this, by reducing deforestation, it means that the catchment areas would actually get some sort of restoration in a way, or the degradation would actually be minimized. And to a certain extent, it will be able to help us to, have, catchment areas preserved, and we'll be able to have the sustainable water that we need for power generation.
This is Climate Check. Lastly on the program, we know that forests are the lungs of the earth. They give us purified air, they give us clean water, and so much more. And so if we can all plant a tree, I think it will be something that will be very much appreciated by Mother Earth. And so in the next clip, Dominic Davis Chifumbe caught up with Beverly Namkwanya, a young lady who is involved in tree planting activities and, of course, encouraging various stakeholders, including fellow young people, to take up this venture. Have you planted a tree in your life? Let's watch this clip.
Trees offer a lot of benefits to the human life, and actually holding in my hands right now is actually a mango plant or a mango tree. Mangoes are eaten by a lot of people in Zambia, but Beverly has been doing this since 2015, planting trees to ensure that she helps in curbing the climate change and also the drought that we are into, which was declared by President Hakainde Hichilema that is actually an emergency. In the background, you can tell that there are a lot of trees that Beverly has been planting in northwestern province on the Copperbelt and Lusaka as well. A life of purpose, selflessly dedicated to reforestation and fighting climate change. Meet Beverly Namukwanya, who was chosen a path of tree planting to restore the greenery areas of our community.
I am the co-founder of Wampa Green Life Conservation and also the current climate change ambassador. Wampa Green Life Conservation is very connected much to my family background. My father, the late Sir Mesford Simkwanya, was a very passionate leader when it comes to creation care and environmental justice.
Having been inspired by her father, Beverly's passion for tree planting has been fueled by the current drought that Zambia is facing.
Currently, Zambia is among the southern African countries facing the impact of climate change. And currently, the president recently announced the disaster that we are facing, the drought, that everyone should come on board and participate and feel free to do anything that they can do to protect and preserve our environment. So I have risen in my organization, which is a youth-led initiative which can promote simple, friendly solutions in communities and schools. This is just a way of we want to bring people together to help them understand what's really happening when it comes to climate change. How can we look at climate change and what other simple friendly solution that we can look at as a community. I am promoting also this initiative to celebrate the legacy that my father has left behind, to help people understand where we are going and to grow the future of tomorrow, having that mentality. What type of solution is Zambia looking at? Zambia is a rising nation when it comes to learning about sustainable development goals, adaptation strategies.
And Alliance for Green Revolution in Africa, AGRA, leads an external management advocacy, Mwandwechileshe, emphasizes the significance of tree planting.
When we speak about the conversation of planting trees, it really relates to this topic that people have been talking about, and it's called climate adaptation. So we are now in the situation, like you've referenced, where droughts are quite prevalent, but in other places they're also seeing floods. So what we have noticed now is that these climate shocks and climate incidences are becoming more and more severe. So we are in a situation now where it's not just about mitigating, we actually have to adapt. And what does climate adaptation look like? In practical terms, from individual levels, it's when we have lots of rainfall, how do we make sure that we hold on to some of that water for drier times? At individual levels, it's what you've talked about. How do we plant trees? We've done a lot of damage over the last couple of years as human beings to the environment and cutting down trees, that we now are in a situation where we need to plant trees so that we're able to take some of that carbon out of the atmosphere that is causing so much trouble. And all of that requires that we are making sure that we're very climate conscious, we're employing some of these practical adaptation practices, and that also includes planting trees.
Nature care is for everyone, and she encourages everyone to join the cause.
Okay, they have to look into the being a good citizen. It's planting tree is not a political role. It's a thing that everyone, creation care is for everyone. So I'm encouraging everyone to come on board. You are not going to, if you want to plant a tree and you want to use me, you're not going to buy. I just gift you a plant so that you can also go and gift someone. So if you feel trees are very expensive to be accessed, please feel free to contact me, and I'm here to give you a plant that you can plant somewhere.
To be without trees would, in the most literal way, to be without our roots and our life. Dominic Davis Chifumbe reporting.
an interesting story of tree planting, resilience, and of course, being proactive in taking care of our environment. We've come to the end of the program. We'll be back again next week, sometime, same channel. Do ensure that you do your part in taking care of our environment, because we cannot live without planet Earth. Thank you for watching. I'm Mwiikisa. Goodbye.